So when, Kathy asked if I could assist on this, I tried to put together, notes from, my perspective when I'm going out to, a shoreline and talking with these kayakers. I don't usually get too many canoers, but you get a whole lot of people with kayaks. So, you know, for me, the focus is more on the discussion of the safety, not really the 70-12 form. I put in here, don't let the form control you. Have your conversation with things that that you want to, project to the person. And you can always fill out the form, a few minutes later. But you don't want to really be robotic about it, where you're going line by line on the form. Um, it's more about having that two-way conversation with people. Um, so I always like to kind of be prepared as I see somebody that's about to put a kayak in the water. They've just pulled up. They're pulling it off their vehicle. And I'll tell you, sometimes we get a pickup truck that's got four in the bed. It's a whole family. Or they might have a trailer and there's six of them on there for a family. So we get various levels of that. Like I say, my perspective, what I get a lot of is at a no wake lake near us. There's a campground nearby, and we could get 40 to 50 kayakers in a 6 to 8 hour time frame. So we usually get quite a few. So as I see somebody pulling up and they're starting to unload, with my clipboard, my form, I'm grabbing the Paddlecraft pamphlet, some of the reflectors, as you can see here. Those are great. Boy, when I walk up and show somebody these and tell them what they're for, especially if I've given out several already and you can see them reflecting across the lake, it's a pretty nice thing when you're kind of giving them some freebies up front. But if I didn't have these, then the orange if found stickers are good too. This safety checklist is nice on here, and it's also like the if found sticker, except it's shiny silver. They could still put that on the inside of their kayak. And you can get these things through the ANSI catalog. And this is the main pamphlet that I give them. If I see kids, and especially if they're wearing life jackets, I've always got some stickers or something that I bring as well, to give to them. I've also gotten some of these pamphlets through the ACA, American Canoe Association. You can get them on their site. You can download them and you can print them on your own. Yeah, it's going to cost some money for you to print these unless you have a source where you can get free printing. When I used to work, I used to print some of these after hours at work. So that was kind of nice. But the trifold brochures have a lot of good information in them. I kind of like the paddler's safety checklist. It's a good thing to have. So yeah, main thing is, we want to be knowledgeable of what, safety equipment is, what makes a good kayak, color, flotation, etc. That's all part of your conversation. And I already showed you the RBS, job one article, which I thought was great. Just so you'd kind of be prepared with information in the back of your mind that you'd kind of like to share with the person. So, even though I'm in my ODUs, I still kind of greet the paddler. It's a soft greeting, talk a little bit about the weather. It's a nice day for kayaking out here. Yeah, it's still May, but, the water's going to be kind of cold. So hopefully you're prepared for that because, kayaks do tip over, so you might get wet. So I kind of like let them know about that. If I see they have life jackets, I'll comment on that. Hey, that's great to see that you have life jackets. Hopefully you're going to be wearing them because, Obviously, it's a lot better to have it on if you do happen to find yourself in the water, because it's a little difficult to put on afterwards. I do see people who have the life jackets jammed up, in the bow of the kayak, or, underneath the bungee cords, so I might say something like, that's great, your kayak will float. How's that going to help you if you're separated from your kayak? So, and I'll ask if it's their first time out here. And with that, it will give me an idea whether they're experienced or not. And, then I'll give them the handout, explain what some of the things are that I'm giving to them, especially the paddle tip reflectors. I'm always mindful of their time though, because it's a nice sunny day. They want to get out on the water. They want to enjoy it. So I don't really want to keep them, you know, um, too long with going through everything. So I try to do the best job I can without, I want to give them the service, but I want them to, still be, in a good mood. I don't want to get them to the point where I kind of upset them because I delayed them too much. So, I always start out too with my statement, why am I there? Well, I'm here doing boating safety checks today. And, along with the power boaters, our command also wants us to be proactive for, kayakers and canoes, paddlecraft people. Um, over the last few years, that population has really increased. And obviously with that, more people on the water means there's more risk and accidents, um, especially since kayaks are such a low profile to the water. They're not easily seen by, the other boaters. And that, potentially is a reason why there was, increased accidents. Uh, I'll talk about, their experience. If they're brand new, do they know where they can get a paddling course, such as, REI? We used to have Summit Sports around us in the Lansing area, which had those kind of classes. Um, Now I found out that we have a Power of Water is a business, and they do classes. They'll actually offer a class where they take people to a high school, put kayak in the pool, and they teach people, tipping over and how to get back in their kayak again. So definitely they can gain their experience that way. And of course, we ask if they've had a boater safety class, and we'll offer a course to them that they can attend. And if they're interested, we'll get their name. So as I've had the conversation with the people at the shoreline, uh, I'm already kind of visually looking things over. I've already noticed their life jackets. I've noticed the color of their life jacket. So, it's a good visibility on the water. If it's not, some people have the olive green. So that's nice that you have a life jacket, it'll keep you afloat. But, we want to try to make you more visible while you're out there. Or their clothing. Um, we talk about the craft itself, obviously the coloring of it. Is it going to be more visible, or is it going to be the olive drab that just blends with the water line? Um, are the paddles in good condition? Um, and flotation. That's a lot of things, something a lot of people don't think about. They'll buy the cheap, you know, kayak from, Costco or Tractor Supply or some other places, but you look inside of it and there's no flotation. It's completely open. So if you fill it with water, it actually will sink. So that's kind of an eye opener. Um, but then there's others that have enclosed air compartments, or you can see that they have the styrofoam up in there. So that's a good thing to point out to them, that they've got a better, kayak that will float. Hopefully they do. This is kind of like my partner with our flotilla, and this is Lake Ovid. This is that no wake lake where we got lots of people come out here with kayaks. So, these people just offloaded their kayaks. They're parking their car. So while they're doing that, and he's already had initial conversation with them, now he's kind of catching up on his form, noting things about the kayak. So he's pretty much going to be finished by the time they get back. Um, so that we haven't really delayed them much at all. I see out on the water, there's a fisherman in a kayak, and we already talked to that person. So, be familiar with the 7012A form. What are the required equipment topics on the form? Because there's some of the recommended items that you may not even need to discuss. If they're not going to be on, fast water, you can point out to them that, hey, if you ever do, these are things to be considered, but it's not something you need to spend a lot of time with. And you'll know that based on their experience and where they generally paddle. You probably only need to review a few other recommended items. Now, this will change. Obviously, we're dealing here on a few 100-acre lake that's no wake lake, but people that head out onto the Great Lakes, there's some requirements that are going to change for that. So you'd want to alter your conversation to include some of those other items. Whistles. Do you have whistles? We get 100 or 200 a year we'll buy. And so if that's the only issue they have, which a lot of kayakers don't have a whistle, they don't have a sound device, which is required. But if everything else is good on their kayak, we'll give them the whistle and then we'll pass them. And so that really kind of goes over well. And it's, about $1.35 a whistle. It's kind of worth it for us to do that. So hopefully most of you are familiar with the 7012 form. I just kind of highlighted, in orange, the kind of like the really important things to fill out. And like I said, some of this you can do while you're having a conversation with a person, or while there's a little break in it, they're still setting up their kayak, or, getting their equipment out of the car, whatever. So for me, if I'm doing, I have a family that has, 2 or 3 kayaks. I'm not even going to really worry too much about the hull identification number. It depends on how busy things are there. I'll write it down or I might not. It's all the same family. And I'll do the inspection, and I'll just write a 3 on my form. I know I inspected all 3 of their kayaks for the family. So I don't really need to waste time doing a form for, 3 forms, which seems kind of redundant when I'm dealing with the same family. So I just get the father's name or the mother's name, whoever it is that, I'm speaking with. Obviously, the sound signal and the life jacket, those are 2 really important required items there. Looking at the hull and the deck and the hatch covers, deck lines, hardware, bulkheads, flotation, and the paddles. Again, if they're going out on federal waters, then yeah, navigation lights is something you want to discuss with them, or visual distress signals. But usually on these inland lakes, visual distress signals are not a requirement anyway. And most of these people are not staying out after dark. So it's not something I really need to talk about. But I'll mention it to them, that if conditions change, these are things you'll want to, consider. We'll ask them about, personal ID, float plan, basically to somebody, I generally don't run into a single kayaker, but if I do, then I'll talk about the float plan. Does somebody know that you're out here by yourself? It's not usually a good idea. You should always travel and at least, have somebody else with you on the water in case something happens. Some people will be out for several hours. So yes, we'll talk about, water and sun protection, because sometimes they don't think about that. As I mentioned, high visibility clothing is a good idea. If they have it, something they'll think about in the future. First aid kit, You know, they never know what they might encounter underwater, so it's a good idea if they had something. And of course, we've already given them their orange, if found sticker, or the paddle tip reflectors that has the same similar sticker. So the contact information on the inside of the craft, we covered that.
Rio?
Yes.
Kelly Rudolph's got her hand up.
Oh, yeah. When I'm doing the presentation, I don't get to see the people. So appreciate you telling me
I'll watch out for you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Kelly.
I just wanted to clarify, you said navigation lights. So,
I'm sorry, did I? Oh,
yes.
yeah. If they're going to be out after dark, then they'd want to have the white light, like rowboats or sailboats.
Right, a white light, but not navigation lights unless they have a motor. I just wanted to make sure that that was, clearly stated, because we want to dissuade people from using navigation lights unless they have a motor. We don't want anybody pretending to be a power boat.
Right. And actually Walmart does sell small LED clip-on navigation lights. They're white.
They sell them everywhere. They sell them with the red and green ones. And a lot of people, I'm the Ohio State Director for the American Canoe Association. So this is something that I deal with quite often, where you have anglers that are in, just a pedal-driven or paddle-driven kayak without a motor on it, and they are using the navigation lights. And we want to keep them from doing that as much as possible.
Right.
So I just wanted to clarify it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question. We got a minute.
Sure.
I'm Dan DeLisa. I was used to be in Sector Detroit. Now I'm back in now I'm down in Milwaukee area. And when I came to Milwaukee area, I started working with canoe outfitters, and they'd have maybe 30 to 40, maybe even 50 canoes and kayaks, and they would rent them out. And I would go. Obviously, as you talked about on the forum, if you have more than a few people, it becomes laborious. And the first time I started doing this, I said, well, I need one form for each canoe or kayak. And I was going through that paperwork, and I thought that to be laborious. So then I developed an Excel spreadsheet with all the stuff that was on the form by column, all the things you could check. And then I would go and then I would do inventory on all the canoes and kayaks and inspect them. And I would write their serial numbers down, or hull numbers, all identification numbers on that form. And then I would check off what they were, 12 foot, 10 foot, whatever, and their color and things of that nature. So I used to do a lot of that stuff. So I wonder if that's still possible to do in that kind of situation.
I would say absolutely yes. And I've done exactly the same thing, created an Excel spreadsheet that kind of mirrored the inspection form, because we've done rentals as well, and Boy Scout camps. And when you're doing, 200 or 300 kayaks, that's the best way to do it. In fact, sometimes we'll get their inventory sheet and work off of that because they may already have their hull numbers or registration numbers listed. So it just makes our job so much easier when we're doing a mass inspection like that. And then we may not even use this 7012 form. We kind of give them a certificate later on, kind of like the certificate of appreciation, but having done their inspections on their craft. So that works out for us. So yeah, we do the same thing that you just did. So it's glad you thought of it too.
Kelly still got her hand up. I don't know if she had another question.
Oh.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Scott's got his hand up.
Yeah, thanks.
Right.
What's your opinion on the nav light issue? I'm Scott Liebold, Station Port Huron. And we have the St. Clair River, which is an international border with everything from paddle boats to freighters, and then we have the Black River where people tie up their boats, and especially like on boat night, people like to be out on their kayaks. It's after dark. Should they have nav lights or just the rear anchor light?
It really, by what we go through in the training, boat safety course and such, it would just be the white light, same as a
Okay.
rowboat, non-motorized, or a sailboat, not under power.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add again, we don't want Paddlecraft, pretending or people assuming that they are under power. So that, when somebody sees those lights, they think of a boat under power. And if it's a paddlecraft, they're not going to be able to move as fast as a boat under power. So that's why we want to discourage the nav lights.
Roger that.
So I've gotten the end of my notes. I don't really have anything else. So I guess we're just open for, question and answer.
Tim Retzloff here. Got a quick question. Can you email this presentation out to us when you're done, either in Word format, which is fine?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's just a Word doc that I just, put my thoughts on there as, what we run into in our area. And then, some of the options for, handout items. But yeah, I'll send that out.
Okay, thanks.
Hey,
Yeah,
Leo,
that's
it's
pretty-
Jeff Grandis.
Yeah.
It's Jeff Grandis. I just have a comment. So, I just looked at my records and I did 7 exams of Paddlecraft last year. None of them passed. And the reason that they don't pass is because of a whistle. They don't have a sound device with them. So your
Right.
idea about passing that whistle out is great. You can buy them inexpensively, I think, in bulk at Amazon. It's even less than $1 a piece. But there is a leadership email out there right now, a leadership link, L2 auxiliary leadership link that came out Sunday, March 10th. And the topic is whistle and paddle tip reflector kits are available. So you can request these and they're free. I don't know how much you could get. Our vice is ordering them for us, but that's a method to get that whistle on that life vest for those paddle crafters.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that. Yeah. Not only can you get the paddle tip reflectors, but you can get whistles too. And yeah, free. So that's nice that, Nashville has offered that to us.
WWMA.
Those are nice.
Can you see the photo that I just shared?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was at Canoa in Wisconsin 2 weekends ago, and the flotilla there had those made and were selling them.
Oh,
So just an idea.
When I look at that, it looks like there's a ball inside of it. You look very closely at that opening in it. It looks like there's a ball. It's to the right side. It's
not.
on the upper side. Those with balls don't work if they get wet.
No, they were marine whistles.
They were. Okay, very good.
Yes, they were. I made sure of that before I, talked to them and said that I liked it.
Glad to hear.
Stephen, your hand is up. Do you have something, a question?
Just, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, just a comment. I've done some paddlecraft VEs in Ohio. Since we're on the south end of Michigan, we sneak into Ohio sometimes. But I just want to remind everybody, when you're doing VEs, especially in another state than the one that you normally work in, make sure you check the boating laws in that state. For example, in Michigan, paddlecraft are not required to have MC numbers. They can, but they're not required to. However, down in Ohio, they are required to have the OH number. So that has to be on the paddlecraft. So just something to remember if you're doing a paddlecraft exam in another state, make sure you're up on the state rules and regs that you're doing the VE in.
Just to add to that, because I am in Ohio, we do not have to have the numbers on the side of the kayak. We only have to have the alternative registration, which goes on the deck of the kayak right behind your seat.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's that little sticker that they put back behind there.
Yeah, it's like a rectangle, maybe
Yep.
4 or 5 inches long.
Yeah, good point. You know, obviously all of mine have been up here. Indiana, you know, one of our flotillas is in Fort Wayne, and they barely have any restrictions whatsoever down in Indiana. Their law enforcement doesn't even really do too much. So it's kind of hard for the auxiliary to go do vessel exams when, you know, their own DNR don't enforce anything. So yeah, it's just, yeah, obviously be aware of, you know, what the regulations are in whatever state you're working with.
Just another comment also. Another place that I do kayak canoe exams is at a livery.
Yes.
We have a livery that he gets them done every year. He's got 80 kayaks. And Jeff, I hate to break it to you, but they all pass. And why did they pass? Because we have given him everything he needs. His main purpose is he wants that vessel exam decal on his kayaks and rowboats. But we go through all his life jackets. We gave him whistles for every life jacket that he has. So he makes sure that the people, and we educate him, we give him pamphlets to hand out to the kayakers. So we educated him that, you know, a whistle is part of the stuff that he needs to make sure that rental kayaker has. So we make sure that he has everything he needs to satisfy that exam. So that's a place you can go to. Because a lot of kayakers, before they buy a kayak, they go to some of these kayak places and rent one to see what kind they like. So that's a place too.
Yeah, we find some of our liveries up here, they don't want to do the expense of a whistle because they also are concerned with health. You know, one whistle going on to the next person in a rental, you know, you don't know whose mouth has been on it, so they don't want to put the expense into it. So, you know, we're still doing the inspection. We won't pass them, but they're happy that we're checking the condition of the paddlecraft and their life jackets, and that's good enough for them. So, you know, that's fine.
Get doing number 2.
You know what you can suggest to them is that they include the price of a whistle with each one of their rentals. I mean, you
Yeah,
figure
we
it's $1
try.
or $2 extra, but you know, that might be one way to speak with them about it.
Yeah.
Scott's got his hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So our flotilla has to purchase these whistles and the paddle reflectors, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they're free. Just put in your request through the communication that came out a week or so ago. And I don't know how long it'll take for you to get them, but
All right.
it seemed like a pretty easy process.
Yep. In Port Huron, we have this event coming up. It's where one time a year they take the St. Clair River and they close it down for 9 miles. Freighters are actually held back in Lake Huron. All motorized traffic stops, and they have a thing called a float down. So traditionally, it's
Oh,
been
God.
yeah. Oops, sorry about that. Um, so you have people that are tied up together, in rafts, but uh, canoes and kayaks are getting to be more and more prevalent. And you're talking like over 1,000 people just floating down, down to Marysville. So up at the launching point, I know we were talking about handing out bottles of water, or actually something like this would be ideal. But there sure are going to be a lot of people there.
Yeah, how early do they show up?
What the deal is, they show up, 10, 11 o'clock. And then around noon, there's a Coast Guard ship that comes in and stops in front of the beach. And then everybody's held back. Then at 1 o'clock, it's just, you got like 1,000 people that all have to go down this beach and put their stuff in all at once.
That
It's 1
sounds like
o'clock.
a great opportunity to have like a, PA, booth or tent, and get a bunch of us out there to do vessel exams on Paddlecraft.
That's our plan. And actually, I'm sure I should probably talk to the flotilla. We talked to Jim Simmer at our flotilla commander, but I'm sure we could use some help.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and if you guys want to come and be able to examine kayaks and give out stickers, there'll be hundreds.
Do you know what date that is?
Ah, boy, I'll
It's
look it up.
August.
Like the 16th,
I'm gonna-
Severad's Severad's on the phone.
I didn't know
So,
that.
What?
I'll send out an email
Okay.
requesting help and support, and if people want to come up, and obviously we want to try to get some files signed off for people, and we'll try to do that at the same time.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's going to be around August 16th, I think it is.
Okay.
Jim, I'm looking it up right now.
We also have the boats
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, if I'm
I know we
I'm
have some of us
available,
are up
I
there on
think I would
patrol.
show up.
Oops, no, that's 2019.
Yeah, just the big
Either-
thing on that one, it's, the Coast Guard is gonna put out a message that it's an unsanctioned event because they don't like it. I know we have some members are up there on patrol. Some PWCs are up there on patrol because they've had to go rescue some of these floaters or kayakers that get caught up in the current. One year, there was a whole bunch of them that got caught in the current and ended up in Canada. So it's just, sometimes it gets to be interesting.
Yeah.
And it's very well represented by the Coast Guard. But just to wrap this up, we're looking at this year, August 18th, Sunday. Excuse me. Yeah, Sunday, August 18th. And if you go on Facebook, but Port Huron Float Down, you'll see the madness. I'm going to shut my mic off now.
I see Kelly's got her hand up again.
Yes.
She,
Oh, so sorry, I was trying to get my unmute. So Pat Groves, who is also on this call, her and I are actually working to become the OxPad qualifiers for 9th Central. We're both instructors, and then we teach as well as do the Coast Guard Auxiliary. And we've both been out to the OxPad Academy on the East Coast. So I'm going to share a photo of my a business card in case her and I could ever be of any use, or if you had to ask paddling questions or anything like that.
Thank you.
Actually, Kelly, one of my flotilla members is on the call as well, and she's interested in the Oxpad program.
Yeah, the only thing that is holding us back right now is becoming level 2 instructors. We're level 1 instructors currently and working on becoming level 2.
Great. I look forward to that program getting a little bit further down the road here. Because definitely there's some interest.
Scott still got his hand up.
Okay, Scott.
I just put it down.
Oh, okay. Now is Kelly gonna, yeah, here comes her card.
Yeah, just another positive note. Pat and I actually got one of the challenge coins from the recreational boating. What is the complete title? Recreational boating. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of something, so I cannot think of her specific title, but we got one of the challenge coins for our participation in creating the Oxpad manual.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I got one
I
for
just
just
thought it.
doing vessel exam.
Oh, I just thought it was something, positive for Ninth Central here.
Sure.
Hey, Rio, it's Jeff again. Just a comment.
Yes.
So, when we focus on vessel exams, we're so focused on trying to get somebody and their vessel to the point where we could put a sticker on it. And I do a lot of vessel exams on Belleville Lake. A lot of the people that show up there don't have the best vessels in the world. A lot of times they don't pass. And I get disappointed with that. And I sense that the group gets disappointed when they can't put a sticker on a vessel. But it's important to remember that any conversation with a boater, whether or not they get a sticker, is useful because you've taught them something. If one thing stuck in their brain, you may have saved their life. And that's the most important thing in what we do.
Yeah, mini education session. So it's well worth the time, even if they didn't pass. They still get the form with your comments on it, things that they can remember for later. To me, I don't have too many people that are really disappointed. They're pleased that we actually pointed something out to them that they were never aware of. So I think it's useful even if we don't have a lot of, successful passes and decals given out.
The VE workshop is really pushing the opportunity for the VE to instruct and teach the boater. That's the main thing. Don't, take your time, get that education in. Don't just do it for a number. That's exactly what they're pushing on that workshop. If you haven't seen it yet.
For those of you that have Facebook paddling groups in your area, a good way to get people who potentially are going to pass the VE is to make a post on one of those paddling groups and, explain what you're doing and why the vessel exam sticker is a good thing to have, and maybe have them create an event where you guys can come out and do vessel exams.
I've done that with a group, Southern Lower Michigan, and they look forward to us annually now. I think we're in our 4th year. And I actually gave them a copy of the 7012 form, as a PDF with, the page 2 instruction side, so that they can prepare, because we're driving a couple hours down there, but that way they're prepared, they know what we're looking for, and it helps that they have the equipment, or at least they, will have questions asked when we're there.
That's a great idea.
Scott's hands up again.
Thanks, Kelly. How do you recommend as far as taking training on doing the 360 and all the other maneuvers you need to be able to do prior to getting certified on OxPad?
So actually, Pat and I teach those classes. Like I said, we're not currently level 2 instructors yet, but we are on our way to becoming that. But we can get you at least knowledgeable on what exactly you need to know and where you're at currently with your set of skills.
Right.
So if you have people in your area, we have a fleet of 6 sea kayaks we were able to purchase with an Ohio DNR grant that we received, along with a trailer and paddles and PFDs and some nylon spray skirts. So we have 6 of those available if not everybody has kayaks. But we would be more than happy to discuss coming to your area or having you guys come down here to do a class.
Yeah, and you, Northwest Ohio. Oh, so you're like Cleveland area?
No, I'm Toledo.
So, oh, okay. All right. Excuse me.
Yeah, Cleveland's northeast, but
and I'm Oakland County, so I'd definitely come down there for a day if you were to offer that. I mean, if that's what it takes to learn how to do a barrel roll, I'd be up for it.
yeah.
And, yeah.
Now you don't need to do a roll in order to do OxPad. Rolling itself is that is a level 3 instructor requirement, and
Right.
rolling is not required until you are an L4.
Okay. So we
Just
start
a
as
skills assessment.
I don't. Perhaps I could pass an L1 right now.
Well, we would be more than happy to help you, figure that out.
Okay, so I'll get an email out to you. You can let me know in the first training that you have going, where I can join some others, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Do you have anybody else, or is anybody else on this call possibly interested where we could, do something as a group?
Several
Jim
nights
Sim-
here, I'll
Yeah, go ahead.
join, so, and I think there's a couple other people that I know. So we'll, I took down your email and phone number, so I'll give you a call, Kelly.
Okay. And a nice place to do training is Bruin Lake, which is near Hell, Michigan, if you know where that is.
Oh yeah.
That is a wonderful place because it's, pretty protected waters. There is boat traffic in certain areas, but it has a nice campground. We did OxPad training there last year for some people up near Charlevoix that came down for the weekend.
What lake was that?
Bruin Lake, Bruin.
I've been there before.
It's a chain of 5 lakes. It's beautiful. It's crystal clear, and it's just a nice place to do training.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, John, we've hit the 3:51 time, so I know that this class will be ending. And
Yes.
I don't right now recall what's coming on up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
Past Commanders Association meeting.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, hopefully this worked out for you.
we want to thank you for your time, Rio. Very
Oh, you're welcome.
informative. Also, Kelly, very informative.
Yeah, a lot of good information.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can talk paddling anytime. So if you guys ever have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, if you guys get that together, Kelly, with Port Huron, have Port Huron get a hold of me. I'm the DSO for 9 Central, and I can put it
Okay.
out through. I can put it out through the district, and you might get more people interested.
Sounds good.
Now, what level do you have to be to go on a patrol?
To be an operator, you must be able to pass a PQS and a level 2 skills assessment.
Okay.
To be the AQ, which we have to have an AQ in each district to have an on water or an afloat program. To be a AQ, you must be a level 2 instructor.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
So Kelly, summarize here, and I know we're running out of time. So the thinking right now is the water's still cold. So we'd probably wait till late part of June or July. Okay.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
let's just book it, and I'll call you, and then we'll send it up to the DSO 9 Central and get it out to everybody else that might be interested.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Scott, you still had your hand up. Are you done? Okay. All right, Rio. I think you're clear.
Okay, I guess we're all set to put this to an end. I'll send out my Word document to everybody who's on this call. I wrote down your name, so I'll be able to get your emails out of Office Directory.
Okay, thanks again, Rio.
Okay,
All right, thanks,
everybody
Rio.
take
See ya.
care.